Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today I have been asked to speak on the topic youth for enjoyment or enlightenment. So this topic is very important to know actually what is the goal of our life. So let us first discuss about enjoyment. Then we will discuss about enlightenment. So enjoyment generally is of two types. One is material enjoyment, another is spiritual or transcendental enjoyment. So material enjoyment is related to the body, whereas the spiritual enjoyment is related to the spirit soul. So before discussing about this, the first thing we must know, which is the basic instruction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, that we are not this body. We are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. This is the first instruction Krishna gives to Arjuna. And this instruction is very, very important, as many of us, of course, you are all coming to the program, so you must have known. But many people, they do not know that we are spirit soul, we are not this body. And since we identify ourselves with the body, and we have no idea about the spirit soul, that's why we seek bodily enjoyment. And this bodily enjoyment is generally of four types: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And those who are in bodily consciousness, they generally strive for these four things. And in this respect, actually, there is no difference between human beings and animals. They all have the same propensity to get these four things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And it has been stated that ahara nidra bhayamaithunancha samannametat pasubhi narana. So the human beings and the animals, they have these same propensities, because they are related to the body and bodily senses, material senses. So one wants to gratify the senses through these four things. The animals, they do the same thing. The human beings also they do the same thing. And the enjoyment, it may differ the way of enjoyment, but the enjoyment is the same. So this enjoyment is related to the body and bodily senses. And as long as the human beings, which are considered superior to animals and other living entities, if they are in the same platform like animals and they behave like that, then they are no better than animals. That's why it has been stated in the scripture, Ahara nidra bhayamaithunancha samannam etat pasubhi narana. So these four things are similar between human beings and animals. But what makes the human being greater or more important than animals? We say that human beings are civilized, better than animals. So what makes them better? Dharma hi tesang adhika vishesho dharmena hi na pasubhi samana. That the conception of God and one's relationship with God, this conception actually differentiates between human beings and animals. That animals have no conception about God or their relationship with God. Because they are completely on bodily consciousness, they want to satisfy their senses, material senses. And they try to satisfy their material senses through these four things. So according to their propensity, they try to eat, they try to sleep, they try to mate, and they try to defend themselves. And the human beings are also doing the same thing. Human beings are also eating, they are also sleeping, mating, and defending. But human beings have superior consciousness. There are 5 types of consciousness. We see among living entities, we see trees. They have also consciousness. They are also living entities. But their consciousness is covered. So they have covered consciousness. That's why when we cut the tree or hit the tree feels pain, but it cannot express. So they have covered consciousness. Their consciousness is covered. And when we come to animals, they have a little higher consciousness. But that consciousness is shrunken consciousness. That means they can react to certain degree. They can understand to certain degree. According to their nature, they will act. They cannot go beyond that. If we call animals here and speak to them about Bhagavad Gita, then they will not be interested to hear about Bhagavad Gita or what Krishna speaks. As soon as they get up in the morning, they look for food. You might have noticed also. The animals, first thing they will look for food. And the next thing, they will have sex life, then they will sleep, and they will be depending all the time. So this is their way of life, and that is their enjoyment. And they are so engrossed in that enjoyment, they don't think anything else apart from that. So, this animal consciousness is sunken consciousness. But the human beings, they have 3 different types of consciousness, which is called developed consciousness. So human beings, they have budding consciousness, like you see a flower, the flower does not blossom immediately. First it is in a budding form, then gradually it blossoms, and then it becomes fully blossomed. In the same way, the consciousness of human beings, some of them have in a budding consciousness, some have blossomed consciousness, and some have fully blossomed consciousness. So human beings are of these 3 types of consciousness they have. And accordingly they behave. Accordingly they act. So some human beings, they have a budding consciousness, that's why they cannot understand so much about God. Though they have some discriminative power better than the animals, but those who have blossomed consciousness, they will be able to understand the Supreme Lord and their relationship with the Supreme Lord. And those who have fully blossomed consciousness, they are considered in perfect stage of understanding God and their relationship with God, and their activities are based on that relationship. So in this way, we see according to different consciousness, human beings and animals, they behave. But the whole attitude, apart from those who have fully blossomed consciousness, they are not in a bodily conception of life. But those who have budding consciousness and blossomed consciousness, they are in the bodily conception of life. And they try to enjoy life through bodily senses. But it has been stated that dharma hi tesang adhika vishesho dharmena hina pasubhi samana. So the human beings, whoever understands the Supreme Lord and his relationship with the Supreme Lord, that means he understands dharma. And they are better than animals. That means they have also some sense gratification, but that is in a restricted way according to scripture. But those who have budding consciousness, they have sense gratification, but without caring for the scriptures, without caring for the instruction of God, Krishna. So they practically behave like animals. Those human beings, they have no conception. But at least the higher developed consciousness human beings, they have also material sense gratification, but that is according to scriptures, restricted. And those who are fully blossomed consciousness, they don't need this material sense gratification because they are in a spiritual platform and they enjoy through their spiritual senses. They have also enjoyment. So like in the beginning I said that there is spiritual enjoyment and there is material enjoyment. So material enjoyment is related to the body. And then what happens to that material enjoyment? Let us analyze. That whatever enjoyment we get through our bodily senses, namely eating, sleeping, mating and depending. So, if we want a certain thing to eat, like those who are students of economics, they must have heard this thing. The law of diminishing marginal utility. So this Rasgulla example is given. People like to eat sweets. So suppose you like to eat a Rasgulla or Gulab Jamun, whatever it is. So if you are given the first Gulab Jamun to eat, and you are very much anxious to eat and enjoy Gulab Jamun, you may get some happiness, satisfaction when you get the first one. Then you will be served the second one. And when you get the second one, so then the happiness you derive in the first one will diminish in the second one. And then you are served the third. And the happiness you derive in the third one will be diminished from the second one. And in this way, if you will go on, then a point will come, a time will come when you will not want any more Gulab Jamun. You are fully satisfied. And after that, if someone gives another one, then what happens? You refuse. Because you are full, you are fully satisfied. But someone will push you. Please take another one. Because in India, that is the hospitality we show. If a guest has come, we feed him up to his full satisfaction, and when he will refuse to take, then we will understand that he is fully satisfied. He has taken everything. So this pushing is there only in India. In other places, no one will push you. So, if someone pushes you, okay, take another one. So maybe out of affection, though you don't want anymore, you are fully satisfied, but out of affection, you may take another one. But then he will ask you to take another one. Then what will happen? You will say, no, I don't want anymore. No, you can't take another one. So if he forces you too much, then you may oblige him taking another one. But if he offers you third one, then you say totally no. And you become angry. So the same object which was giving you so much happiness in the beginning, that turns into anger. The happiness turns into anger at a stage. So this is material happiness. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yehi sansparsaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya natesu ramate buddha. Krishna says that the happiness derived from sense perception is the cause of distress. Because it has a beginning and it has an end. Adya antavanta. So those who are intelligent, they don't strive for this temporary material happiness. Because they know that it will end in either anxiety or distress or anger. And the same thing, not only for eating, the same thing happens for all those 4 types of material enjoyment. Eating, sleeping, mating and depending. That initially you may get some happiness, but later on distress will follow. This is the nature of material happiness, because it is related to material senses. So this has one beginning and also an end. Material happiness has beginning and end. But the happiness we desire, generally, we desire unending happiness. We want happiness which will not end at all. And we desire that this happiness, we don't desire any distress in our life. No one desires sorrow or distress in one's life. Everyone wants eternal, unending happiness. But because we don't know the way how to attain unending happiness, then what happens? We try different methods. We eat in our house. We get some satisfaction by eating in our house. And then after some time we become very tired in eating our houses. Then we go to a restaurant outside. Check, see if something better is available. Because in one position we will never be satisfied. We want varieties of enjoyment. Actually, it has been stated that variegatedness is the mother of enjoyment. If you have the same thing every day, you become tired of that. This is the material happiness. If in your hostel you are served the same thing every day, you complain. Do something else. So this is the nature of material happiness. The material happiness has a beginning and has an end. That's why Krishna says, Natesu ramate buddha. That those who are intelligent people, they don't strive for this material happiness, understanding that this material happiness has a beginning and has an end. So intelligent people, Krishna says Buddha, that intelligent people don't strive for material happiness. Understanding that this has a beginning and has an end. So this is the situation of material happiness. And specifically in the age of young age, our senses are very strong and our desire is also unlimited. And with unlimited desires, we want to fulfill through our senses. We want to fulfill those unlimited desires through our senses. But generally, in old age, though the desire still remains, but one may not be able to fulfill. But in young age, there is opportunity. But if we are not aware of the result of this material happiness, if we are not aware of the goal of our life, then what happens? That we will end up taking another body, animal body or plant's body or any body. We will not get any more human body because we misutilize the human form of life. And it has been stated that this human form of life, this is adhruvam and durlabham. Kaumar acharet pragya dharman bhagavataniha durlabham manusa janmam yadapi adhruvam arthadam. Prahlad Maharaj was teaching to his classmates, students. And Prahlad Maharaj told his classmates that Kaumarang acharet pragya. So he used the word pragya, means intelligent. Who is intelligent, sometimes people say that okay, when we become old, then we will do some dharma. This is the young age, this time for enjoyment. But Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumarang acharet pragya. Dharman Bhagavatan iha. That is Bhagavata Dharma means the path enunciated by the Supreme Lord. It's called Bhagavata Dharma. What is religion? Sometimes we are not aware that what is religion. That's why sometimes we see religious people, they fight with one another without understanding the purpose of religion. So it has been stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that dharma tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. That religion is actually the instruction of the Supreme Lord. The instruction which has been given by the Supreme Lord for mankind. Because the intention of the Supreme Lord is to make mankind happy and prosperous. That the Supreme Lord wants. That how mankind become happy and prosperous. That's why the Lord is giving instructions to follow in the scriptures. And Prahlad Maharaj says, those who are intelligent people, they follow Lord's instruction from the very childhood. Why he says childhood? Says Durlabham Manusa Janma. That this human birth is very rare. We don't get again and again. After 80 lakh species of life, there are 4 lakh species of human beings. Total 84 lakhs. So 80 lakhs living entities are non-human. Animals, birds and trees, other living entities. So we have to go through all those 80 lakh species of life. We have to one day accept a body of an animal, a bird, an insect, a tree. So many bodies we have to take. This is the law of nature. Whether we believe it or not, that is different thing. Like there is a state law, and someone says, I don't believe this state law. And if you break state law, you will be in jail. Whether you believe it or not. In the same way, the laws of nature actually is given by Krishna himself. Krishna says, Maya dhakshana prakriti syate sacharacharam hetu nanena kanteya jagadvi parivartate. That under my supreme direction, the material nature is working. So Krishna is the controller of the material nature. And Krishna has set the laws of the material nature. So whether we believe or not, we have to undergo, whether happiness or distress or whatever is there, according to the laws of nature. We have to die, we have to take birth. This is the laws of nature. Many people, they don't believe on rebirth. That is okay, they may not believe, but the laws of nature will not change. So, after many, many births, a rare opportunity is given in human form. And why this opportunity is given? That if we properly utilize this human birth from the very childhood, if we understand the goal of life, if we utilize our time in understanding the goal of life, then what happens? We can spend our human form of life in such a way that at the end we attain the goal of life and get rid of this cycle of birth and death. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says, this human form of life, even if it is temporary, but this is very rare, and yadapi adhruvam arthadam, but it is very meaningful. This human form of life is very meaningful, because in this life one can understand Krishna, understand himself, understand his relationship with Krishna and his prime duty towards Krishna. So this human form is there to understand Krishna, the goal of life, to understand that we are not this material body, we are spirit souls. So material enjoyment has a beginning and has an end. So if we want eternal happiness, if we want eternal life without any death, old age, disease and birth, that is eternal life. Because in material world we have to go through these stages: birth, disease, old age, and death. And we don't want that. None of us want to become old. None of us want to die. None of us want to suffer from different kinds of diseases. But even if we don't want, we are forced to suffer. This is the nature of the material world. Dukkhalayam asaswatam. This is a place of misery. And this material world is also temporary. But we want eternal life with eternal happiness. That is called spiritual happiness. And that spiritual happiness will come when we understand that I am actually not this body, I am the spirit soul. Because when someone dies, whole life he thinks that I am this material body. And he dies with that conception. But when he leaves his body, then we tell, oh, that man is gone. But throughout our life we have understood that this man is this body. And though this body is lying down in front of us, but we say that that man is gone. That means we are referring to someone else then. We are not referring to the body. We are referring to the spirit soul who was residing within the body, who has left the body. That's why he is dead. So we don't think about this, but indirectly we admit that that man is gone. That means we are indirectly admitting that man is not this body who has gone, left the body and gone. So that means we are referring to the spirit soul who was sitting within the body. So because of the presence of the spirit soul, the body is working. And when the spirit soul leaves, the body becomes useless. The same body we are taking so much care, but when spirit soul leaves this body, we burn in fire. So the body is finished. And body is made of panchabhuta. Kshiti, aap, teja, marut, vyama. Earth, water, fire, ether and air. The body is made from these 5 things. And when we burn the body, then again it is mixed with these 5 things. So the body is material and it will end. But the spirit soul, which is part and parcel of Krishna, it will never end. So when we want spiritual pleasure, so that pleasure must be related to the spirit soul. And when it is related to the spirit soul, then that pleasure will be eternal pleasure, unending pleasure. And to understand this, that we are spirit soul, we need knowledge of that. And in material world, we see whatever knowledge we acquire, it is based on our material perception. It is based on our material knowledge, whatever we acquire from our parents, from our family, from our schools and colleges, from different books. So our knowledge is limited. And the knowledge also differs from person to person. This material knowledge differs from person to person. Everyone doesn't have the same knowledge about his own self, about life. So it depends upon the circumstances in which a person is born and brought up. Then he will develop a particular type of knowledge through his family, his society, his education. So it will differ. But whatever knowledge we acquire, that is based on this material body, related to the material body. Even whatever education we get in our schools and colleges, what type of education we get? Whatever education we get, that is meant for our livelihood. That we get some material education, then either we serve somewhere, do business, whatever it may be. How to earn money. And this education or this knowledge does not help us to lessen our distress and give us eternal happiness. That's why it has been stated that real knowledge is sa vidya ya vimukte. That is real knowledge which shows us the path how to be liberated from this cycle of birth and death and the cycle of suffering. So that knowledge is spiritual knowledge, which is related to the body. Related to the spirit soul. Material knowledge is related to the body. So when enlightenment, the question of enlightenment comes, so this is when we get some knowledge about the spirit soul and our relationship with the Supreme Soul. That is the real enlightenment. And Krishna gives this knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita to enlighten the conditioned living entities about their own identity and about their goal of life. Because we have misidentified ourselves with this body, that's why the goal of life is different. But when being enlightened, we understand that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit Soul, Krishna, then our goal of life will be different. And that happiness we derive by being connected with the Supreme Soul and serving the Supreme Soul. That happiness is eternal happiness. That will lead actually to eternal happiness. While in this material world, if we have that understanding by being enlightened by Krishna himself and his representatives, then we understand that we are this spirit soul part and parcel of Krishna and we act on that platform. And to act in that platform, Krishna gives the way. How to act. Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mang namaskuru mame vasyasi satyam te pratijane priyoshime. That you always think of me. There are different ways to be connected with the Supreme Soul. Some people, they become connected. Yoga means becoming connected. Becoming connected with the Supreme. The connection of the Spirit Soul with the Supreme Spirit. That is called yoga. Yoga does not mean some physical exercises. That's why in Bhagavad Gita we see there is karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga. That means when one remains connected with the Supreme Spirit Soul Krishna through karma, that becomes karma yoga. When someone becomes connected with the Supreme Spirit through jnana, through knowledge, that becomes jnana yoga. When someone becomes connected with the Supreme Spirit through dhyana, meditation, then that becomes dhyana yoga. And someone becomes connected with the Supreme through bhakti, through devotional service, then that becomes bhakti yoga. And Krishna says, bhaktamang abhijanat. So only there are different stages to be connected with the Supreme. But when someone comes to the platform of devotional service to Krishna, then Krishna says that my devotees can only understand me. And Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimang namaskuru. Mameva sasi satyam te pratijanya priyoshime. So Krishna says how one can be very dear to Krishna. This is real enlightenment. That how one can become very dear to Krishna. In material world, we also want to become dear to someone, but that relationship is also temporary in material world. But when we become related to Krishna, then that relationship is eternal relationship. Like we are taking birth in this material world, life after life in so many species. And when we come to this material world, we think we are this body, and the body is given by my father and mother, they are my father and mother, and we are related with our brothers and sisters through this body. We are also related to our children through this body. Everything is bodily relation. And this bodily relationship is only for one lifetime. When we take next birth, these people in our family will not be there in next birth with us. They were never there in your previous lifetime also. In your previous lifetime, someone else was our father and mother, someone else was our relation, and that has changed in this lifetime. And next lifetime it will also change. So every lifetime, our relationship, material relationship is changing. Then actually, with whom we are related eternally? With no one. Because our relationship is changing. But with one person, we are related eternally. That relationship does not change. And who is that? Krishna. So Krishna as Paramatma, he is coming with us in every lifetime. So within our heart, there are two living entities. One is the spirit soul, the individual spirit soul, and with him, the Supreme Spirit is also sitting as Paramatma. So Atma and Paramatma both are there within our heart. And this Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, He is accompanying us in every lifetime. So that means we have eternal relationship with Paramatma, Krishna, who is accompanying us in every lifetime. Because we have eternal relationship with Him. And it has been stated in the Upanishad that two birds are sitting in one tree. One is eating the fruits of the tree, and the another bird is just watching. So the spirit soul through this body is eating the fruits of previous karmas, actions. And Paramatma, this second bird, is just watching what the spirit soul is doing. While suffering or enjoying the previous fruitive actions, the spirit soul is again creating, through this body, again creating new karmas, new actions. And in this way becoming entangled in the karmic reaction. Where there is no hope that one can get out of this karmic reaction means so-called material happiness and distress. One cannot get out from this unless one becomes connected with this Supreme Soul, Supreme Spirit Krishna. And when one becomes connected with Krishna, then Krishna says, by devotion only you can understand me. There is no other way. Bahunang janmanang ante jnanavana mang prapadyate. Krishna says, after many, many births, those who are in real knowledge, they can understand me. And they can surrender to me. And such souls, great souls, are very rare who surrenders to Krishna. We surrender to so many things. But surrendering to Krishna is the greatest thing in our life. And if we can do that, we can be among the such rare souls Krishna is mentioning. That Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. That anyone surrenders to me, such great souls are very rare. And then when we surrender to Krishna, Krishna says in 2 verses, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mang namaskuru mang eva Mabevasya satyante pratijane priyosime. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, and through Arjuna to all of us, that my dear Arjuna, I am speaking this secret to you because you are very dear to me. And what is that most secret thing Krishna is speaking? He says, Manmana Bhava. You always think of me within your heart. Means we have to think of Krishna within our heart all the time, 24 hours. Then you will ask me what will happen to our duty, material duty, if we will always think of Krishna. We can also do our material duty. Like the Brajavasis, they were also doing their material duty, but they were always thinking of Krishna. And Krishna also instructed Arjuna while he was fighting in the battlefield. And what did Krishna say? Tasmat sarvesu kalesu mang anusmara yuddhasa. My dear Arjuna, you remember me all the time means 24 hours a day. And even if while you are fighting, that means we have to learn the art. How to remember Krishna while performing our material duties also. We have to learn the secret. How to remember Krishna. We can remember Krishna by chanting His holy name. While doing our material duty from our mouth, we can say Hare Krishna, no problem. We can hear about Krishna while doing our material duties. Or we can remember within our mind. The Brajavasis, they were doing their household activities, but chanting Krishna's glories through their tongues. So it is possible if one wants, and Krishna said to Arjuna that while you are fighting, you remember me. So Arjuna will think about the target of his arrow or think of Krishna. But Krishna said, you have to remember me while fighting. That means we have to offer our activities and the fruits of our activities to Krishna. And when we offer in that mood, we remember Krishna. Krishna instructed Arjuna that nimitta matra bhava sabyasachi. My dear Arjuna, you fight this war, but become just a means. You are not doing, you are not fighting, but just become a means of fighting. I am doing everything. So that means Arjuna was supposed to offer everything to Krishna. He is fighting for Krishna. So while fighting, how Arjuna can remember Krishna? Okay, I am fighting for Krishna. I am going to kill this person through my arrow because I can please Krishna by this. So that is Krishna consciousness. When we act in Krishna consciousness and perform our activity, then we can remember Krishna. And Krishna says, become my devotee. Manmana bhava madbhakta madhyaji mang namaskuru. And worship me, and then offer your obeisances to me. And in this way, I am promising you, at last you will come to me. This very simple thing Krishna is speaking. And then he says, Sarvadharman pariteja mang ekam saranam braja. You give up all different varieties of so-called religion, just surrender unto me. I will make you free from all sinful reactions. Means, I will make you free from all sinful reactions means distress. So Krishna can take care of everything. When we understand this knowledge and surrender to Krishna, then naturally our life will change. But sometimes we see, yesterday there was a question, that sometimes even after surrendering to Krishna, devotees are also suffering. That question was there yesterday, I answered. So, this suffering sometimes it comes because we have so much sinful activities stored from so many lifetimes. And when we perform pious activity, the result is happiness, material happiness. When we perform impious or sinful activities, the result is distress, we suffer. So from so many lifetimes and so many sinful reactions are stored for us. We have to get the result of that in the way of suffering. So if we don't surrender to Krishna, then we have to get all those sufferings with full force. That will come as a resultant reaction. But when we surrender to Krishna, that also depends how much we surrender. Krishna says in one verse, Ye yatha mang prapadyante tangs tatheva bhajami. According to one's surrender, he will reciprocate. So, if our surrender is 5%, 10%, 50%, 100%, so Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. That means he will take away our sinful reactions accordingly. So sometimes we see that devotees, they suffer something. But since they have become devotees, so their sinful reactions which have been stored, which has not fructified yet, those things are nullified just by surrendering Krishna and chanting His holy name. Only this prarabdha karma a devotee suffers, and that also comes with a minimum reaction. But when someone is fully dedicated, 100%, Krishna can also take out that karma which has been fructified in. Because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Supreme Control, He can do anything if He is pleased with someone. So that depends upon us how much we are surrendered to Krishna and how much we are dependent on Him. Accordingly, He will take away our karmic reactions. And sometimes we see that if someone has to cut his hand because of the sinful reaction, but by Krishna's mercy, that will be nullified and he may cut little finger, small cut in the finger. So the reaction is nullified in this way. And sometimes also we see like the Pandavas, they were great devotees of Krishna. And they were all pure devotees, fully surrendered. But still we see in their life, they were also suffering. But what did they do when they suffered? They always remembered Krishna and surrendered to Krishna for protection. And Krishna always came to protect them. Krishna always rescued them from different kinds of miseries. But why did the Pandavas suffer? They had no sinful reactions. They are all pure devotees. So Pandavas' suffering were not due to their sinful reaction. Krishna wanted to show the whole world through Pandavas, through his devotees, how devotees are tolerant in difficult situations. Krishna was showing Pandavas as the example, exemplary devotees, that how Krishna's devotees are tolerant. So they tolerated all the onslaughts of the Kauravas. Still, they did not deviate from the path of dharma. When sometimes we are in trouble, then we try to deviate from the path of dharma. Sometimes we do that. But the Pandavas never deviated. Krishna showed this through them to the whole world. Their tolerance and their inclination to follow the path of dharma in spite of all these troubles. And they set the example of pure devotees. They always surrendered to Krishna, and Krishna came and protected them. They were not in a situation to win the war of Kurukshetra. But by Krishna's mercy, Pandavas won. And then what happened? When Lord Krishna installed Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor of the whole world, then Yudhishthira Maharaj one time asked Krishna. Yudhishthira Maharaj asked Krishna that, my dear Lord, we are all your surrendered devotees. But you have put us in such tribulations in our life that seeing this or hearing this, how people will surrender to you and become your devotee? No one will surrender to you. Because they will think, oh, you see what happened to Pandavas, they were surrendered devotees of Krishna and they were suffering so much. Then why should I become a devotee of Krishna? Then Krishna, he did not say, he did. He gave so much opulence to Pandavas, material opulence, that even the king of heaven, Indra is considered most opulent in the heavenly planet. But the king of heaven, Indra, was envious of Maharaj Yudhishthira, seeing it so much opulence. We take the case of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj surrendered everything to Krishna, Vamandev. And in lieu of that, what Vamandev did, he also gave so much opulence to Bali Maharaj, which surpassed the opulence of Indra. And not only that, Lord Vamandev agreed to become the doorkeeper of Bali Maharaj. Still now, Vamandev is guarding the door of Bali Maharaj. Once Ravan came to attack Bali Maharaj, and Vamandev was at the door as doorkeeper. So he threw Ravan 1,000 yojanas away. Ravan could not even enter into Bali Maharaj's palace, enter into his kingdom. So Krishna was personally protecting Bali Maharaj. He was personally protecting the Pandavas. He was personally protecting Ambarish Maharaj. Today morning we are hearing about Ambarish Maharaj. Krishna had given his Sudarshan disc to Ambarish Maharaj. So Krishna can do anything for his devotees. If we surrender to him, we understand our eternal relationship with him, and we become engaged in devotional service to Krishna, then our human life will become perfect and we can get out from this cycle of eternal suffering, cycle of birth and death, and we can enter into a life of eternal happiness, bliss, and we get a life where we can always remain young. Because we all want to remain young all the time. That is our natural desire. No one wants to grow old. Because we see how old people are suffering. So we always want to become young. And when we go to Krishna, Krishna is Navayauvanancha. Krishna is always ever youthful. Have you ever seen a picture of Krishna, very old person? Sometimes people think, oh, God must have become very old. But God never becomes old. He is always young, always ever youthful. And His beauty increases all the time. Our beauty decreases, material beauty. But Krishna's beauty, because his body is spiritual, not material. That's why his beauty increases all the time. Whenever you see, how many times you see Krishna? Every time you will see a newer beauty in him. That is Krishna. And those who attend Krishna's lotus feet, they can also become ever youthful in Krishna's planet. In Krishna's planet, there are so many devotees, ever youthful devotees. They never grow old. There is no disease, no death. Actually, they are really enjoying life. We are here striving to enjoy. But the devotees in Krishna's planet, they are really enjoying their life. They can eat whatever they want, though they are not hungry. There is no hunger, thirst there. But they can eat opulent food which we have not even seen or imagined. So opulent Krishna's planet. And those who are devotees of Krishna, they can attend that planet. Krishna says, Anta kale chamamevam smaran mukta kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastrata sansaya. At the time of death, whoever remembers Krishna and leaves his body, then he is promoted to the spiritual world, the world of Krishna. So this is actually real enlightenment. When we understand this and act accordingly, then our human form of life will become successful. So we'll stop here. If anyone has any questions or comments, we can take few questions, one or two.
Krishna is selfish.
Krishna is selfish.
I'm asking, sir.
Oh, okay.
Whatever you're telling that we are all childs of Krishna. So those who are doing more means giving more to Krishna, means who become devotee or something. So for him, Krishna will give more, and someone means didn't surrender. So then we all are child. Then what is the difference between a man and Krishna? If he becomes the judge with that, if this person is surrendered that person, so I have to give this much. It should
Okay.
not be.
Okay. Very nice question. What a father desires for his children. There are 5 children. A father naturally desires everyone's happiness, everyone's welfare. This is natural. But some children would listen to the father, because father knows how children can become happy. He makes the arrangement. So some children, they listen to the father and act accordingly. And some children, they don't listen to the father. They don't act according to the father's wish. They are independent. They do whatever they like. So what the father will do with them? The father will say, okay, my dear child, I wanted your welfare. That's why I instructed you. But you are not listening. What can I do? So if you are thinking that you can become happy in your own way, you try. You can try. Wait. Let me finish. You can try. Then the children, they will try in their own way. And still, the father is always thinking about their welfare. Even if the children are not listening to the father, doing their own thing independently. But the father, since he is the well-wisher of the children, then he makes different arrangements. He tells his friends that, my dear friend, I instructed my child, he did not listen to me, please you instruct him. Maybe he will listen to you. Or he can tell his teacher or someone, whoever is well-wisher, that please instruct him. And still the child is not listening to anyone. And then he'll act independently and he'll suffer. When he suffers, still the father's heart is compassionate. He doesn't want his child to suffer, even if he did not follow him. So what he'll do, he'll make arrangement. Okay, he's suffering. And when a child will suffer, then he'll think, oh, my father was telling to do this thing, I did not do. That's why I did of my own and I am suffering. He'll remember his father. Then the father will excuse him. He said, okay, my child, now at least you come back to me and hear what I to say you. The child is rebellious, but the father always wants the child to come back to him. And the child may realize when he suffers without hearing the father. And the father makes the arrangement for the child to come back to him. So in the same way, Krishna is the father of everyone, all the living entities. And some living entities, they listen to Krishna's instruction and they stayed with Krishna in the spiritual world. And their number is 3/4 of the total population. Only 1/4 living entities did not listen to Krishna. They thought, why should we serve Krishna? We want to become happy ourselves without Krishna. Krishna said, okay, if you don't want to listen to me, you can go and try, go to material world. So he created this material world. This material world is actually meant for the rebellious, conditioned souls who did not listen to Krishna. They wanted to become happy without Krishna. So they came to this material world. And when in this material world they got a material body. In the spiritual world, those devotees are there, they have a spiritual body, no material body. That's why they enjoy spiritually, the spiritual enjoyment. But we want to enjoy materially. So in this material world, no one can become happy. This material world is such that here we have to suffer. And when we suffer, then we will think, oh, how can I get out of this suffering? What is the way? So Krishna has made all the arrangements. How? he has given his instruction through Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. If someone, the conditioned soul which is suffering, is very fortunate, he can go through Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and understand that what is my duty and what I am doing. And still if he did not understand from there, then Krishna has also made arrangement for the conditioned souls. He is sending his devotees. The devotees are coming and going around taking trouble and instructing people, telling about Krishna and telling everyone how to become happy, how to get out from the suffering of this material world. Still someone does not listen. Krishna himself also comes to rescue the conditioned souls from this material world through his instruction, through his beauty, through his different activities. People can be attracted to Krishna in Krishna because of Krishna's different activities. Someone may be attracted to Krishna by his beauty. Someone may be attracted by his instruction. Someone may be attracted by his pastimes. So, in this way, when Krishna comes, he attracts the conditioned souls, those who have forgotten him and suffering in this material world. So, in this way, Krishna is making different arrangements for the conditioned souls to revive their original consciousness, the spiritual consciousness, and go back to Krishna and enjoy life. And still, there are some people, even if they suffer in this material world, they think, oh, it is okay. This suffering is our enjoyment. They are in lowest consciousness, in ignorance. So how they can be helped? Krishna wanted to help, but they don't want Krishna's help, so they have to suffer. The living entity has some minute independence, and we are misutilizing that minute independence to enjoy material enjoyment. That's why we have forgotten Krishna. And even if Krishna is making so many arrangements, still we don't bother. So that is not Krishna's fault, our fault. Krishna cannot be selfish because he is the well-wisher, friend of everyone. He is the well-wisher, father of everyone. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitaham. So he is always thinking about the living entities. And even a demon is being killed by Krishna. But still Krishna is also favoring him by killing. How? He is giving liberation to the demon. The spiritualists, they are trying very hard for so many years to get liberation. But the demons, by being killed by Krishna, they are getting liberation immediately. So Krishna is, by killing, also favoring them. So Krishna, that's why he is the well-wishing friend of every living entity. Sama sarvesu bhutesu name desastina priya. Krishna says this thing, that I am equal to everyone. I am giving same opportunity to everyone. But it is up to the living entity. Someone like the sun is giving light to everyone. Is sun discriminating? But if you will stay inside your house, closing the door, don't go out to sunshine, how can you get sunshine? It is up to us that if we will avail the opportunity or not. Okay? Harish. Okay.
As you said, for religious people, Krishna has created this material world. And we are noticing that the population of earth is increasing.
Yes.
That number of rebellious people are increasing.
Yes. Population is increasing means rebellious people are also increasing. But we have to also understand that this earthly planet or this world is not the only world. The total creation is divided into 4 parts. So 3 parts of the total creation are the spiritual world. 1 part is only material world. And within that 1 part, there are unlimited universes. They are floating like footballs in the water. Unlimited material planets, universes. And in every universe, there are 14 planetary systems. And like in our universe, this is the smallest one we are living. So we have this earthly planet. And beyond this earthly planet, we have 6 more planets upward, 7 downward planets. 7 planets downward. Earthly planet is in between. And in the earthly planet, we are human beings living. Okay? But in each and every universe also there is an earthly planet. And there are also human beings living in other planets. We are not the only human beings living in this planet. That's why there is also interplanetary journey. The soul can go and take birth in any planet. And it also says, also possible that 80 lakh species of living entities are non-humans. They are also changing their bodies. So some of them are also getting chance of becoming human beings. And some human beings are getting chance to become animals. So this is going on. So this is not actually, we cannot say it is increasing. So from some planet coming here, from here going to other planet, some animals are becoming human beings are becoming animals. This is all going on. So, what is the population of India now? 131 crores. So, and in some places, less population. So we see only one place population is increasing, but we don't see the other places where population is decreasing. So we see only one place, then we see here more, but in other places less. So we cannot say actually population is increasing. Okay. Oh, so many hands.
We all know that we will endly come to the death. But why whenever we think about the death, we fear? No one accepts that he fear of death. But sometimes unknowingly when he thinks that one day death will come, we will leave all these materials, all the relatives and all from whom we are surrounded, then we become restless.
Yes.
Why?
That is natural.
Then someone comes.
Because why it happens? We don't actually want death.
Why?
Because we are eternal. Because we are spirit soul, and spirit soul is eternal. Eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So since spirit soul is eternal, this spirit soul wants eternal happiness. Spirit soul doesn't want to go through the suffering. Because we have identified with our body, we are not enlightened, that we are spirit soul. We are thinking, I am this body. That's why we are afraid of death, because we will lose this body. Did you understand my point? We are afraid because we don't want to lose this body. Huh?
But one question always reminds me of childhood.
Yeah.
Whenever we discuss childhood,
Okay.
we know that we will come to here and we will die. We will die at last. Then why we are sent here?
Why you are sent here?
For these sufferings. That from the start.
Because initially you wanted that. Initially when I explained that some living entities did not want to serve Krishna. They wanted to enjoy without Krishna. That's why Krishna gave us the opportunity by creating this material world. So these living entities, those who do not want to serve Krishna, they can have some opportunity to enjoy by getting this material body. So Krishna gave us this opportunity here by sending to this material world. And Krishna said, okay, you try. If you don't want to serve me, I'm not forcing you. You can try. So we are trying since life immemorial. We are trying, taking different bodies, trying to become happy in an animal body, trying to become happy in human body, trying to become happy in insect body. We have tried so many times. In different lifetimes, we have tried to become happy. And we have done the same thing, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. In every lifetime, still we have not become satisfied. So that's why when one will think about this in human form of life, because only you can think in human form of life, in other life you cannot think. That this life cycle I am suffering, I don't want to suffer. Why am I suffering? How can I get out of this suffering? That's why you will inquire that actually who am I? And what am I doing here? And how can I get out? Then you inquire, you hear, you read Bhagavad Gita, you hear from Bhagavad Gita, you hear about Krishna, his instruction how to get out from this suffering. Then you will get out from the suffering.
One last
Huh.
Then easy to describe that what happens after the death. What is beyond the death?
You said it is easy to describe what happens after death.
I mean, easy to think that what happens after death. Till now there is no description about that.
There is restriction.
Death is universal truth. That
Yes.
One day it will come and it will come to every
Yes.
who is.
Okay. There is also restriction after death.
Those things which when people die, then there is a cycle of 12 days, and in 12 days Christ came and he says stories every day. Then what happens when the person and then he went here, and these are the stages. Those are said us so that we can forget that people from our mind who are living with us before his death.
I could not get your question. What do you want to say? It's a, sir, tell me.
Is the
Please explain what you exactly want to say.
मतलब डेथ के बाद क्या होता है? ये क्या वो है जो हमें बताया जाता है कि यहाँ ट्रेवल करेंगे फिर यहाँ
You see, none of us have seen what happens after death. Then how can we know what happens death? This is your question, I think. Yeah? Okay. You go to a marketplace and you purchase an electronic item. And you don't know how to operate it. So with that electronic item, you get an operation manual. Isn't it? And from the operation, by going through the operation manual, you can know the constituents of that item and how it should be operated. So everything is there. Okay? But You have not seen the original scientist who has made that. You have not seen him. But you are getting his knowledge. The creator who created, the scientist who created that instrument, so he is giving his knowledge through the operation manual. So even if you have not seen that scientist, you are getting the knowledge through the operation manual. And you are believing on that. And when you act according to the operation manual, it will act. Isn't it? So in the same way, because we are all subject to death, then we cannot say what happens after death. But who can say? Who is beyond death? Only he can say. And who is beyond death? Who is beyond death? No one? The Creator who created us, who created this birth, death, old age and disease, so he is beyond death, naturally. The Creator who has created us and created all the laws, he is beyond death. Only he can say. Only the Creator can say about his creation. No one else can say. So what happens after death of a living entity, only Creator can say. Did you get my point? Okay. Only Creator can say what happens after death. And Creator's knowledge is coming through the scriptures. You read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, the description is there. What happened? How can we know how the living entity is changing bodies? This is not our knowledge. This is Creator's knowledge. We are just repeating. So the Creator is giving this knowledge, and if someone will say, like you purchase the electronic equipment, but you will say, I don't believe on this operation manual. That you can say, then you will not be able to operate the instrument. So same way, if someone will say, I don't believe on the Creator. Okay, you are free to say that. You are independent. You can do so. But then you will not get the benefit. Okay? So we'll stop.